Do you realize that God gave you something He never gave another part of His creation? In the Bible it says that God created you, created me in His image. And that's something He never gave to another part of His creation. But what does that mean, the image of God? Well, I believe it means it's that ability to will, to think, to love, to create. It's that ability to relate to another person in a personal way. And God did that we might relate to Him. Every time I face a moral issue or a very important decision I need to make, I kind of remind myself, do you realize making a choice like this is part of the image of God in you? It's something very special that He gave you. I use flowers to illustrate that. Have you ever looked at a flower and just stood there and thought, wow, this is beautiful? And yet, you know, God gave you something He never gave to a flower. And that's that ability to will, to create, to love, to make moral choices. I boarded a plane in Atlanta, Georgia. And I saw something I've never seen before. And I've made over 10,000 flights, so I've seen about everything on a plane. And here was the flight attendant standing there with a beautiful dozen of roses. I thought, wow, that's kind of different. She was greeting everyone. And I said, oh, your hubby bought you some roses? She said, no. I said, oh, your boyfriend bought you some roses? She said, no. I said, who did? She said, I did. Well, I had to move along, and I thought, I wonder why she bought herself flowers. So after the plane got off the ground, I went back and introduced myself to her and found out she knew who I was, so that made it a little easier for the question I wanted to ask. I said, why did you buy yourself flowers? She said, because I like myself. I thought, wow, that is so true. God created you so special, and we need to see that specialness in the way that God sees us. So I went out and bought myself 2 dozen of flowers. I literally did, and put them in my room. And what I often do, when I write, I might go for 10, 12 days straight in a motel room in the past, and I'll go buy 3, 4, 5 dozen of flowers, and I'll put one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, one on the patio, one on the TV, and one on the table where I do writing. And for those days that I'm there writing, I get tired, I get exhausted. But every time I look at those flowers, I'm reminded that God loves me, that God created me in His image. He gave me that ability to will, to love, to create, to make moral choices. And when I think of that, it causes me all the more to want to serve Him and to love Him more. So I trust you will always realize when you look at flowers, God gave you something He never even gave the flower, and that is His image, that ability to will, to think, to love, to create.